Good morning, class 11th children of Bio Group. We will be doing the last video today of the third chapter called Tools for Study of Taxonomy. So in this we would be doing a study of the herbaria. Now in yesterday in video 2 we had studied about botanical gardens of India, and we had also studied about botanical gardens famous in the world. We had studied about herbaria and herbarium files and preservation of dried specimens of plants. Today, as we continue with the importance of herbarium, we see another fact that herbaria have also proved useful as sources of plant DNA for use in molecular systematics. That means molecular level study is being done to understand what are the similarities in the genes of various kinds of plants, and the DNA study in various kind of plants that gives us an understanding of the herbaria, various kind of plants. Some important herbaria of India are as follows. Central National Herbarium, Sibpur, founded in 1793, is the oldest and largest herbarium. It has over 1,500,000 specimens from India, South and from Southeast Asia. The herbarium of the Forest Research Institute, Dehradun, it is the second largest. The herbarium of the Forest Research Institute, Dehradun, is the second largest herbarium, and it houses over 350,000 sheets of specimens from world over and from India. Then the third kind of herbarium is Herbarium of Eastern Circle, Shillong. This herbarium was established in 1955, and it has 250,000 specimens from northeast India. Then we see that Herbarium of South Circle, Coimbatore, was established in 1955, and it has over 233,000 specimens, mostly from peninsular India. That means the peninsula, the lower southern triangular peninsula of India. Then the Herbarium of the Western Circle, Pune, was established in 1955 and has collection of over 112,000 specimens from North India and Northern Himalayas. Then sixth one we see is the Herbarium of National Botanic Research Institute, Lucknow. It has over 150,000 plant species showing good representation of cultivated plants. Now, what is the origin of herbaria, or from where did the concept of making a herbarium file came? The first botanist to be credited of the herbarium is Luca Gaini, who lived from 1490 to 1551, and his student Gerardo Siba, his herbaria are still preserved in Rome, though Lucas, his predecessor's collection, is now lost because it was too old. The largest herbaria of the world, we can see here, the largest herbaria of the world are the Museum National Historic Naturally in Paris. Then another largest herbarium of the world is New York Botanical Gardens. Then we have Komarov Botanical Institute, we have Royal Botanical Garden in England, then we have conservation of a Jardin Botaniques, which is in Germany. Then we see Missouri or Missouri Botanical Gardens in US. Then we see British Museum of Natural History. Then we see Harvard University, Cambridge in USA. Then largest herbaria we see in Swedish Museum of Natural History, Sweden. United States National Herbarium in Washington DC. So these are some of the world's largest herbaria. Coming back here, we see that large herbaria are there, and you see that the monograph. What is a monograph? This means it is a detailed treatment of a taxon, including all significant information of taxonomic nature concerning the taxon. You know, children, what is classification? That means we classify or we arrange in orderly fashion various plants and animals, and monograph is a detailed treatment of a taxon or a division of an organism, including all significant information of taxonomic nature. Now let us study about museums. What is the definition? What is a museum? A museum is the collection of natural, artistic, historical and scientific objects. The term museum came from the Greek word wherein a museum means a place sacred to the muses or the people of that place. So museum means a place sacred to the people, to the muses. Purpose of the museum. Now, there are several purposes of the museum. Purpose of the museum is to collect and preserve the achievements of the natural world and to use the collection to enhance human knowledge and understanding. The second purpose of museum is preservation of cultural heritage of a particular place. And the third purpose of museum is to reflect man and his activity in the land. It also is important. Museum is important because it helps to stimulate artistic ability and intellectual purpose in human beings. Museum is important to study the natural history, art, archaeology, ethnology or anthropology of a place. And museum also gives value for progress and preserves natural values endangered by the modern progress in the society. The museums are listed here. Some of the museums are permanent exhibition in Rome. This was the first museum. Then came Giorgio Vasari, 1511 to 1574, designed the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, Italy. Then the third museum is British Museum, established in 1759. India has Indian Museum, Calcutta, 1814 was it established. Then we have National Museum in India, New Delhi. Then we have Birla Industrial and Technological Museum in Calcutta. Then we have Salar Jung Museum in Hyderabad. We have Biological Museum to preserve plants and animals. The skeletons of animals are kept here in biological museums so that we can see the extinct past of these animals. Then we see zoological parks are very important. What are zoos? The definition of zoos is zoological park also is called zoological garden. It's a place where wild animals and in some instances domesticated animals are exhibited in captivity. In the Bible, we see that King Solomon was a very wise king. He was one of the wisest kings, and he was both a farmer and a zoologist. There are several famous names among the people who kept zoos, like the Empress Tanki of China and Wen Wang. Then there was a king Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, and we see Alexander the Great. Then we also see Emperor Charlemagne, etc. So these are some of the famous names of people who went out to show their interest in creating zoos and animals. Many wild animals were domesticated in the past times, like wild elephants were domesticated, wild horses were domesticated, and some well-known zoological parks of the world are given here. You can see the list here. One is Taronga Zoological Park, Sydney. It opened in Australia in 1881 and has 4,000 specimens of 725 species of animals. Then we see Scottish National Zoological Park, Edinburgh, and it was founded in 1913 by Royal Zoological Society, Scotland, and it has over 1,190 specimens. Then we see third, the National Zoological Park in New Delhi, founded in 1957 and has over 1,700 specimens representing 185 species bred in 240 acres of parkland. Then fourth one we see is Ueno Zoological Park in Japan, founded in 1882, which is spread in 32 acres site and has 8,860 specimens representing 960 species. Also London Zoo, found in London. This opened in 1828, and there are 36 acres of land in this zoo, and this was damaged in World War II but was again reprogrammed within 10 years. Then we see another zoo, Metro Toronto Zoo, Ontario, Canada. This covers 410 acres of land and has collection of 3,800 specimens representing 450 species. Then we see Berlin Zoo in Germany, which opened in 1955 in East Berlin and has 400 acres estate and has 5,350 specimens of 885 species. Then we come to zoos in India. CZA is an organization. CZA is abbreviation which stands for Central Zoo Authority of India. And there is another world level organization known as WAZA, WAZA. This WAZA is abbreviation for World Association of Zoos and Aquariums. World Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And we see that in India there are several zoological parks, like in Alipur Zoological Gardens, Kolkata, Indira Gandhi Zoological Park, then we have Jaipur Zoo, we have Lucknow Zoo, Mysore Zoo, Rajiv Gandhi Zoological Park, etc. So with this we finish the study of chapter 3, and this is one of the chapters that would be coming in your half yearly course. I'll be sending you the assignment for this soon. So thank you so much, children. Wish you all the best for today. Have a good day. Thank you.